Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting of the Carver Conservation Commission for Wednesday, September 19th. The chair is on vacation. I'm vice chair, so I'll be running this meeting this evening. The first, an informal discussion with Borrego Solar for a soil investigation report at 72 Center Street. So, gentlemen.
You could sign in, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Sure, we will. Good evening, commission members. I'm Dean Smith from Borrego Solar. I'm the civil engineer for our project that's going to be coming before you at your next meeting for public hearing at 72 Center Street. You had seen us appear before you before with the system proposed in a different bog location. Since that time, we had consultants go out and do some soils investigation on the site. They did 7 samplings in the bog where our current proposed solar array is located, and 3 in the adjacent wetland bog where the previous location was. We think from our standpoint that it's a pretty clear indication from the soils investigation that the underlying soils in the bog that we're currently proposing our system in has underlying upland soils. Obviously, the whole area has been modified in order to create the agricultural use that's there now. In their report, they present a number of things to support that in addition to the soils investigation that was done. There are historic USGS maps that show the area where that bog is located as an upland area that's between the natural wetland to the south and west and the earlier cranberry bogs that are to the north and west around the bog that we have. Now, there's also a series of historical aerial photos that show some of the changes over the years. They don't go back quite as far as the USGS maps go, so what they represent varies. But in the mid-90s, there was some rework of the bog areas, specifically the area where we're proposing our system now. In that area, you can see that area was not being used for agriculture at the time. It looks more like a filled upland area in that. So it was in transition at the time. So we're here to answer your questions, go over any details in that investigation that you wanted to ask more questions about. This is Josh Farkas. He's our project developer on this project.
Well, Tim and I and Brooke went out today and met with the property owner, Ed, and also the soil, I don't remember.
Julie from
Julie.
Prime, yes.
And she actually took samples while we were there.
So you did see her auger some soil samples?
Yes, and it was very obvious that she didn't have to do a lot of work to get to the peat on the original bog, and she went just as deep on the upland bog, the current proposed bog, and got nothing but sand and rocks and gravel, and so it was pretty clear to us that it was not a wetland.
Okay, and that's consistent with Mr. Silva's statements about what's been developed there over the years as well.
Right. And you mentioned that some photos from the mid-'90s showed it not being used as a bog at all. That,
Yes.
based on what he was talking about today, that seems to be just prior to him purchasing the property.
Okay.
He said he's been doing it for 20 years, which puts that at 98. So, he said he's been rebuilding those bogs ever since. So I think from the standpoint, I think we were,
I don't have a problem with it.
yeah, it seemed to us that this does qualify as a upland bog, and
Okay.
From the standpoint of when you make your presentation, which I think is October.
October 3rd.
October 3rd, right. Part of the reason that we wanted to come before you before that as well is so that we could get things moving with the planning department as well in terms of the planning board hearings. They wanted to be certain because of the previous application that we were in an appropriate location from your standpoint.
You're good. You're good. Just remember, of course, you already filed an NOI?
Oh, they've already, they're on for the next,
They're all set?
they're on,
Yes.
yeah, for the next public hearing, October 3rd.
That works. Okay.
Yep.
We thank you for coming for us.
Right.
The property looks good for what you have to do to it, that's for sure.
Okay.
Right,
Alright.
we
Okay.
still have, you know, it's good as far as we're concerned, and I imagine that when you go in front of planning and other boards, that you're going to have some of the abutters. And-
Of course, there are
Yeah,
issues
in
that have to
here.
do with planning.
Right, now, I don't know, are there any abutters here tonight? There are abutters here tonight.
Okay.
Is this a forum for them to speak, or?
It's a,
Well, it's,
but it'll be up to these
It's-
gentlemen, I think, more than anything.
It's informal.
I mean,
It's
it's
informal.
informal.
Do you want to
If-
hear any concerns
If they'd
right
like
now?
to raise concerns, we're aware of a lot of them from the previous
Okay.
hearings.
Right,
And
but-
I know that a lot of the concerns are more planning board issues, but we're
But
happy
the-
to hear
the only-
what they,
The only thing we're gonna look at, and I want the butters to know this, the only thing that we look at is the prevalence of wetlands. If there are no wetlands, we do not have jurisdiction. The only jurisdiction we have at this point is the abutting wetlands, but they're not on that. So,
They're within 100 feet of the other bogs,
right,
so that's, yep.
Right, and also, just to be clear, we are not voting on this tonight. This is an informal
yeah,
discussion.
we're not doing any voting or
We're-
anything.
Our vote will be on October 3rd, 2 weeks from tonight at our next meeting, and that will most likely be after planning. When are you planning, when are you,
I think plans.
well, I think planning is going to be after that.
Oh, okay.
I think possibly the next Tuesday
Yeah,
on the
we meet
9th.
with the technical review committee next week,
okay,
and then we should be put on an agenda from there.
Yeah,
okay.
Would the abutters still like to say something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
like to see a map of the proposed area.
I think this gentleman has a map for you.
I do have one.
I have a question. It's only fair that we do that.
I mean,
Mind if I use?
like, it's okay with this. I mean,
Oh, it's the
you can't really
town's.
say no. Even if it's informal.
It doesn't.
And we haven't really reviewed the actual project anyway.
I'll
I mean,
turn it
that's
so that
before the
the
hearing, you
audience
review the
can see.
project.
proposed?
Yes.
This bog in the far end is where the system was originally proposed. The one that's adjacent to the residence that
Right.
are up the hillside. So it's the next bog to the south and east. So it would be the center bog on that side of the property.
That's an active cranberry bog now.
It is active. Mr. Silva says that he has to irrigate it quite a bit because it was created from the upland area. It doesn't naturally grow the way the other bogs do. So that's why we're proposing it there, because it was previously.
That's the one that's right adjacent to the holding area, water holding area?
The
Yeah,
pump house, yeah.
That's the water holding area, and the pump house is off to the side there. So it's further from the adjacent properties. We'll be better able to buffer it, and other issues that will come up at the planning board meeting.
And how many feet buffer do you need from the wetlands?
Well, there's a 100-foot buffer that is jurisdictional to
Right.
the Conservation Commission. Here in Carver, they also have a 65-foot no-touch or some other language
No impervious.
in terms of that. So because the bog road is within 65 feet of the adjacent bogs and this natural wetland that's to the south and west, we'll be requesting a waiver from that 65-foot area because the bog roads are already in it.
Okay, but that area at this time, although you have soil samples saying that it has upland soil below it, is deemed to be wetland still,
It's an active cranberry bog.
right?
It's an upland, sir. That's upland.
It's an upland.
It's an
Even though it's a bog, it's
It's an
still
upland
upland.
bog.
Now, is this one, or is he still gonna do that same thing?
You need them
Where
to
he's
sign in.
still harvesting, or is he getting rid of the cranberry bog
No,
totally?
this one won't remain in agricultural use after we're done. The cranberry operation will be gone.
Gotta be from Harvest View.
In that bog.
In that- in
It'll
that
remain in the
single
other
bog,
bogs,
yes.
the other 4 or 5
And where
bogs.
are the streets on that? Is it green?
The center street is over here on the very far east side, Mr. Silva's residence is over on this side of the property. And then the adjacent residence is on the side street in the back or to the north here. I'll have more exhibits at the hearings. I'll have an aerial that you can help orient yourself with. This is Center Street and Old Center Street down here on the right hand side.
What about the power runs coming out? Will they be below ground or will they be poles coming up?
They're
Through the
up,
residential?
they're below ground until we get out near the roadway.
Next to my house?
There will be one new pole there
Is that what you said?
and
Yeah.
several more that are behind the tree line here. So there'll be a new pole on the south side of that driveway there,
Yeah.
and then a few that are behind the tree line here.
Any more?
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Going to include the new storage unit too?
This,
As in battery storage?
yes, this does not have energy
Big
storage.
enough for that.
It's just a straight.
It's not big enough for that.
No, you only do that with big
Right.
arrays, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I didn't get to see the site today because I was in Boston. All the Conservation Commission is gonna do is accept the fact that it's become an upland bog, is that
No,
what
it's
our?
always been an upland bog. It hasn't become one. It always has been an upland bog. It hasn't become that. It was upland, before it was a bog, it was uplands, period.
Okay,
Then they made a bog out of it. That's called an uplands bog,
Right.
right? Okay, so
so what's our
we
involvement
did, they
in
did,
this then?
they did tests, soil tests,
Which is what
determine
that's
whether it
what
was
shows. All the-
wetlands.
Yeah.
So we're voting to accept the soil test?
No, no, we're not,
this is
no,
it.
no, we're not doing any voting.
Yeah.
Not tonight, next meeting. What's
Yeah.
the
So they're
purpose
going to,
of the next
they're going to
meeting?
come before us, asking for a variance to put the panels closer to the wetland area across the,
I like
across the dike road.
So will you be notifying the abutters?
They
like you
already-
did the
oh,
last
yeah.
time? They've already been notified?
yeah.
We will. They haven't gone out yet, but
Oh,
they,
okay, they haven't, okay,
they will be sent,
yeah.
yes. I think
Maureen,
they're-
would you and the gentleman sign in, please, before you take off?
Yeah, so this was just
Any more?
an,
Yeah, it was just informal, just to talk
That's
about
fine.
the
That's
upland
all I
part, yeah.
have.
yeah, so, I mean, as far as we're concerned, we agree
Sure.
that it's an upland bog and
You take it from
Okay.
there.
you take it from there.
Yeah,
Proceed.
on the agricultural operations, when they create them from the upland areas, sometimes they have to manage their water tables. So water is pumped into the bog to keep the water levels high enough for the Grand Prairies to grow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, takes care of that one.
So we haven't really actually looked at the project, you know, and we haven't really reviewed it. So now, yeah, probably should, yeah.
All right.
So we can scratch out JP.
Scratch out JP.
We need a new sheet.
List.
Rough, you know that?
I got him a card too.
All right, next on the agenda is an informal discussion with John Deli Priscoli for an amendment to the OOC and future activities at Edaville, USA.
Here's that plan that you wanted to take a look at, too. It shows the one that they, and we said,
Thank you.
Hey, John, how are you?
oh, this is the one I have, yep. Perfect.
So the first one is, the parking lot is one that you've already granted an order of conditions on, I want to revisit it. And the second one is new attractions. Or partially built attractions I'm gonna finish, I should say. Before I do anything, I'm gonna sign it.
House, right there.
Right there.
Where's the pond? The one behind it, that's at the pond. So what's behind?
Okay, so why don't we talk about the,
Bog's behind
is
us.
anybody here for Edaville? I don't think so.
You're lucky night.
Edaville's property. So, the issue here is, if you look at your plan, these parking spaces here, the upper,
Mm-hmm,
right
yep.
there. Okay, those parking spaces there's a lot of work contemplated that's gonna be coming along in this parking lot. There's a lot of issues that are gonna be addressed. There's parking there today, and, I need to revisit that because I can't afford to lose those spaces. Just plain and simple. I just can't do it. And do all the other work and everything else that's being asked of me. Because now I'm being asked to fix the town's drainage and everything else.
That wasn't me.
I understand. Putting a big burden on Edenville. Well, okay, we'll talk about it, but I need my parking spaces. The parking spaces are there today. So if I just leave the lot gravel, they're there. But I wanna be able to pave them. They were knocked out for some reason. I wasn't able to make the original order conditions work.
No.
So we're talking about, I think it's 24 spaces?
Oh, well, it's actually 14. I looked in the order, it was
Yeah,
only
there were
14.
originally only 14
14.
But they-
spots.
Yeah,
Spaces.
Arthur took out more.
And then, all of
Yeah, I
a
can
sudden,
see.
I understand that there was a whole bunch that had been
Right.
removed, and I didn't really
Arthur-
understand why.
Arthur included more than we had
Yeah.
asked, you know, so,
I'd just like
yeah.
to put those back in,
Yeah.
that's all. No,
So it's these 14 up here?
The other thing I'd like to add to that, if I
Yeah.
may, is that originally
one's
we
in
had talked
65.
about, as you know, I've been in several times talking about, like your prior folks that were just here, about solar and all that. And we are not going to pursue solar on that dock.
Okay.
That's there. I'm giving that up, I'm gonna restore the bog back to agriculture. Well, we can't handle it, so we're gonna go back to that. I thought it was an upland bog, you guys hired somebody that didn't, so I'm agreeing, so whatever, we're gonna put it back.
So
into
you're gonna
agriculture.
restore that.
So that would be that, but I need my 14 or 20 or whatever it is, parking spaces there.
Didn't you add a road or something here?
No, there was always a road there. There was always a log road there, always. I never added anything.
Then there was the talk, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, John, there was the talk about creating an additional access when it was gonna be solar
That's what it
panel.
was, yeah, yeah.
So
And that
it
never
wasn't-
happened,
But we're
John?
not doing
Right,
that.
we weren't adding a road and stuff, so I think there
We'd still
was,
like to work on the solar at some point, but we're not gonna work on it there, just to
Okay.
remind these, and that we don't get into this what's wet, bog and all that.
Yeah.
That works.
That, and I just need my spots. I have the spots today.
So-
The spots are important. There's a lot of,
this is the
there's
100.
a lot of, as your order of conditions.
Where's the
mentioned,
65?
There's a lot of work that's contemplated on this parking lot.
Okay.
Is it this?
All recharging
Yeah,
the groundwater, and it's a wonderful
little
thing.
squiggle?
Big money to do it.
John, I have a question. Was taking these out
big
in the
plan, say
original
he has-
order of
has a big
conditions?
color.
It was
Let's say it was
decided
big
at the
plan
meeting
there.
they had to be taken out because.
Saber, can I see this?
Right.
But they're there now.
But they're pre-existing.
They're pre-existing. The only difference is,
Oh, this is
the
the,
gravel today will be paved.
Saber.
That shows them a little bit better.
this is
I
the
grabbed
whole
the other, the colored plan, because it
Sorry,
shows
I
the,
didn't have the ability to.
yeah, I had a small colored one.
We have artwork.
It's not the
Work a little better.
Right.
This is much better. Now we can see, I'm trying to decipher it out of the squiggles
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah, you're
over
taking
here,
that
so.
out.
I mean, it's already cleared, it's already used.
Right, it's already parking.
I never had a problem with that.
It's up to you.
It's critical parking.
I don't see an issue with that, to tell you the truth.
And we're gonna leave all this as is.
You can leave it the way it is,
Yeah.
pre-existing
Right, this is just a
non-conforming.
farm road here.
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose it is an emergency road, you know, if it had to be, but it's already there. We're not gonna improve
yeah,
it.
it's pre-existing.
And then we're gonna create this, back end, this will be the water source and this will be the bog. My
So you can
turn.
restore it to a cranberry
I'm gonna
bog.
make it a U-pick.
Oh, like blueberries and things too?
No, we're doing U-pick thing.
Oh, just cranberries, okay.
I'm gonna have old fashioned with the people with the scoops.
Oh, you gotta get the wooden scoops
Yeah,
out?
yeah. Kind of a retro experience.
Yeah. You might wanna make those aluminum scoops.
You won't
The
see
wooden
me
ones
bending
won't
down,
last
Bill, I
long.
can show you that.
The wooden ones don't last long. Yeah, they'll
I
do
got-
about two
I got enough
scoops.
projects to keep me busy.
I think they'll do 2 scoops, say, that's enough of that. That's hard work.
The kids don't even know my name.
So there was only 14 spots originally that became the big issue, and
Okay, so you pick.
Right. Right, but
and he's right, if he does nothing, those spots stay as it is right now.
And I think, wasn't, didn't you, like, Isn't that when he was talking about the solar and stuff? I mean, now he's kind of.
But now it's
That
not.
was really
Right.
more
This
so-
all came up because of the solar
Solar is
issue.
what
Right.
triggered
Now
it.
we're not doing the solar at all, so.
And you do have that ridge in between those spaces and the bog, you know what I mean? So there's not really a lot
There's
of,
also a tree line.
That's right, there is.
Yeah, there's a tree line that goes all the way through
And
there.
a couple of
Right.
cabooses,
One.
one.
Yeah, one went to,
So-
you know where one sits today? One sits with the Metro West Chamber of Metro West Regional Transit Authority right in Framingham, it's
No
their
kidding.
office. And the next one's going to the Holliston Rail Trail down in Sherborne and Holliston.
cool. Oh, neat.
And
The only
one-
reason I'm in favor of granting this,
I-
if we do that, is because if he
Right.
does nothing, if he leaves the parking lot just the way it is right now, he gets to use the space.
But we have to, the order,
I
wait a
think
minute,
I
the
think
order
we're-
of conditions has been
you're-
recorded. And
Right,
which,
no, I
and the
have to
order,
come back in. I just
okay,
didn't
he
wanna
has to
do
come
all
back
that.
for an
So this is
amendment
just
to the order.
discussion.
Right,
This is
right,
just
okay.
discussion.
Yeah, it's
Well, he has
informal.
to come back in because he's paid within the 65 anyhow.
Yeah, he needs to
Right.
get a
But,
variance.
but to, in order to amend, he has to amend the first order of conditions to get rid of the, you know, to
This
include
work
the
is
parking
happening in
place.
the spring, Xavier, so it's not like
Right.
it's tomorrow,
But we have to do it right because
I
it
wanna
has to
get
be
Right.
it out
recorded.
cleared, so I'm not chasing permits.
Right.
Come construction, next construction cycle. That's what I'm
I
trying.
don't blame
Okay, yeah, I get that.
So that's just my 2 cents worth.
And actually, this is slightly different than this, but it's better in the fact that these spots here are now closer to the 65-foot. They don't
Yes.
encroach as far this way. It's a
That's
little
right.
different,
A little different, but there's no loss of quantity.
right,
And
the
you're not doing
65-foot
anything
is
like
right at the,
overpave, you know, you're not gonna do that, are you? Okay,
You're looking at a big number to pay this and do the underground.
I understand what you're saying, I'm just.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it's
I don't wanna
almost 9
expand
acres
it.
of pavement, isn't
There's a lot of pavement there.
Oh, so you're not gonna pave it?
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Oh, you are, okay.
I mean, I'm working on, I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, I still gotta
Right.
get, I'm still with the planning board
Right,
and all that.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, I'll be honest.
all right, I'm,
Say this, yeah.
I,
We can't sit back and say, yes, it's all set,
I
but
didn't say that.
my
No,
personal
yeah.
opinion
I just don't
is,
wanna do the
Right.
brain damage if we don't see the.
Right.
The benefit that
The
comes.
foot-
So he would
gotta
just-
do the
I
foot-
think our thinking at the time, John, was that because you had so many spaces that losing 14 in a total of 1,100, which was, I believe, what the number was given, if that could be accomplished, you know,
Well,
that,
what's happened is I've been nicked at the planning board, the spaces.
okay. See, and that hadn't happened at that point,
Right.
so, and I'm aware of
Even
other
though,
things.
even though the new grammar school has no islands for the town.
You-
So we have one set of rules for the town.
He has to have
And
islands.
another set of rules for others.
I'm not going there.
And they're both for kids.
I don't wanna get into that here because you guys have been.
No.
I think that I
No.
think that the restriction on the pavement and the parking spaces was only because it was tied into the solar.
I agree, and that's what, that was explained.
That was the big to-do.
Yeah.
The tree line is gonna remain. He's not doing anything with the existing bog. The parking spaces are already there. The only difference
pave
is
it.
he's gonna pave it.
Yeah.
Right, and also, I think our
And the
thinking
flow will
was,
go away from the box, right?
that it was,
It's all being recharged.
It's all going into that
Right.
good drainage
That
system,
works for me?
the one that you
So,
like.
It's so fast and superior to what's there now, there's no comparison.
That's
Yeah.
why I think it's, you
yeah,
know,
solar was part of it, and also the fact that at the time, I believe that when we talked about numbers, it was 1% of parking.
Yeah.
and now
And if
he's
that could,
correct. The
if that
planning
could have
board
been
has
not, and
made
if
some changes.
affected Edaville greatly to
Right,
keep it outside the 65, then that's what we were kind of looking
Yeah.
at. But, you know,
Okay.
Parking to Edaville is like water to a farm.
I understand that. I've,
okay.
as you know, I've been there.
Xavier knows Edaville better than I do, not too many people.
All right, so.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
he's gonna request, you know, an
Okay.
amendment to the order.
That's
right.
great.
You just have to,
This is just an informal.
Yep.
yeah, that works.
So the next piece is you have your little sheets, and I'm sorry for the minuscule size, I'm not an architect,
Yeah,
but I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to,
now what are you gonna do?
this here is an existing go-kart track. that
Yes.
We built 90% of.
Right.
So we're gonna be finishing that,
Mhm.
so, I don't know, what- can I move this?
Yeah, sure.
He doesn't count.
And forgive me for the audience, but nobody's probably interested, so if they are, they're welcome to come up. This is the go-kart track.
Right.
And this little building here is where the go-karts are stored.
Mhm.
And we're talking about maybe doing solar panels on the roof of that. To, you know, to maybe make these even electric go-karts. We're researching that.
Oh.
And then this is just simply a prop building. It's for visual, it's a prop. It's, you know. part of the
Got it.
thing, okay? Then, this you determined to be a wetland, so I've talked with Makepeace, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this into, we'll amend the farm plan, we're gonna come in with a tailwater recovery pond right here. For this,
You could come in with what?
for this pond.
The tailwater recovery
For this
pond?
grant, we're
Yep.
gonna excavate that out.
So that's the one that Lenore did the study on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like I did here.
Okay.
And that's all been, I
Yep.
wanna revisit that, I can show you. So that's all well established and settled law, we can do that here, because this is gonna support this pond as a whole. There's no recovery here, this is just a reservoir, so we're gonna.
Right, I'm looking at that too.
So that's gonna feed that bog?
You're not gonna have that bog drain into the,
No, we're gonna set it up so that the water would come off and be recycled and.
in there,
then go
okay.
in there, and we get
Right.
a full balance, plus, the other thing that you see around there is a little gravel, there's already a road around there.
Yeah, I could see it.
Just a gravel road that wheelchairs could go around. In here is this little splash pad. for
Yeah, swimming
youngsters.
pool for the kids.
It's all contained, there's no water, going anywhere, it's all contained and recycled within itself. and clean.
Is that the existing little pond that's there, or that's this, huh?
That's over there, yeah,
Okay.
that's been there forever. Just come here around, yeah.
Is this gonna help you, doing that to this gonna help you with some of your groundwater
Yeah,
issues?
it would help with drainage here.
It's gonna help the
This is
bog.
Like that, mainly it's for this situation here. I did discover a hydraulic connection here, so I'm gonna resuscitate that. Then over here is a splash coaster, which is part coaster, part log flume, basically. And the splash, what we're trying to do is, this would all be summer, like,
Hot weather
summer
stuff.
hot weather stuff would all be
Right.
here, then we could shut this off during the, basically from October 31st forwards. Right, would be shut off, that's why we're consolidating it there. But there's one other real neat thing I'd like to do, and I wanna take your temperature on this. Over here, there's an existing, let's say, you know where this is, right?
This one, this one.
Right, this is a pretty deep channel
The
right there.
channel, yep.
And there's a piece of land right here. You see my finger there?
Yes.
A piece of land, okay? And what I would like to do, and this is a very scenic bog around it. There's a lot of flora and fauna out here. There's some islands. It's really, really cool. What I would like to do is have nature tours, get on pontoon boats right here, and actually have guided, conservation type guides, take people out and talk about what's out here and what the whole ecosystem is for here as part of, and make it an attraction. And do the loading and unloading there. There'd be no pilings in the water, but there would be, there would be pilings on the land, but it would obviously be a lot closer than 65 feet. And I would put that there to enjoy, have people.
I'd like to see the drawings on that first, but I think it's a great idea, but I'd still like to see the drawings on that.
The boats would be, you can get electric boats. And that whole technology's come a long way.
Well, there are, even the outboards now are four-cycle, so they really don't.
Yeah, there's no oil dripping in there or anything like that. But I think that'd be wonderful, we had talked about that, and I think this would be kind of an experience, and what I had thought too is out in some of those islands out there, I would put some animatronic, prehistoric.
Let's take a
Some more
step at a time there,
dinosaurs.
John. You're going into the wetlands again. I'd like to see this plan laid out before we did that.
Yeah, of course. I have it, I just wanted to throw you the idea that, this would be a great.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
What I'd like to have is guides on there, kind of like what you see some way, like you see in the Boston Duck Boats.
Right.
Is you have a guide there that tells
Yeah.
you all about the water, of course, they do the land as well, here it's just the water. But this would be an additional attraction, and would give people a chance to really move them into.
Great for the kids, too.
Well, I think it'd be great, and I'd like to get volunteers to be the
Alan.
the docents.
Right, yeah, that's a
Alan,
good idea.
you can get ego tours.
So, and it's all there, you don't have to touch the water course, it's all there, you just have to build a.
Right, just a little boat to,
That's it. So, I can come back with much more detailed plans.
Yeah,
I just
I-
wanted to throw it out there, and I wanna work through this permitting, so you have all this, because this is something I'd like to have for the spring, and get this going.
could you do all that like in one, like say one notice of intent? I mean, instead of having like 5
Yeah,
different,
I'd like to do it all in one.
What do you think?
It's all
you
there.
think that'd be the
There's
better way to do it? I mean,
no modification of any wetland,
right, so it's all buffer zone.
right, it's all buffer zone.
My initial gut reaction is maybe one for this and another one for the boat ride.
I would do two.
Oh, okay,
I would do two, just
yeah,
because we need the money.
This actually is closer to being finished
right.
than that. I
That's
think
a-
it's gonna
yeah,
be
this is
easier to say,
This
go.
is from scratch,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think it'd be easier to say,
It'd be
go.
easier.
Yeah.
You can
Well, he's
bring
gotta
them
dig
both at
that,
the
he's
same
gotta
time.
dig that Carver Cranberry Bog out completely anyhow, so that'd be a, that's,
I have all the iron.
all right.
So you know, if that's not too much of a burden, I would just,
I'm fine with it, if you want to order them.
yeah, I would do the.
Yeah, we
both
wanna, we wanna bleed you
separately,
for
so
a
you
few
can
more
look at it a
dollars.
little bit
And the
more.
way this is gonna connect to the park, not that it matters, but I'd like to share with you, is that there's already a road right here. This is
Yep.
the road into Thomas Land. So we're gonna make a second main entrance into Thomas Land right here.
Okay.
And that will be the entrance that will connect, that's why this is over here.
Oh.
Connect with that, so this would be another, and then in the future, all this is gonna be new stuff up through here, but not right now.
Okay.
That's outside of the 100-foot.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
want to be aware,
Lord.
like full transparency.
Hmm.
So that's what's happening. So I'd like to get this, we desperately need some warm water. I mean, warm weather.
Warm weather stuff, yep.
Warm weather stuff. It's
Mm.
really, you know.
Oh,
it
something
would be
more
90-degree days if you don't have it, we're really. I was gonna say, with all this
stuff we Right.
You know, it really hurt us in July. So we just have to do it. We already own the splash pad.
Yeah, I
We
was-
bought it at the IATA show.
I see a lot of people getting into classes, they were just about
Yeah,
to.
All right,
Okay,
So
That works.
that's the future.
all right,
Okay.
it's a lot of future, John.
Well, we've got a lot of work here.
Good luck,
very good.
All right,
really.
I'll start working on those orders then.
Okay,
Great.
good,
Thank you.
Notice.
thanks. Yeah, Brian can help you with those. You still have Brian
I
as a
have another
consultant?
person now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Brian's working on this full-time for one development.
Oh, okay. Oh,
All right, thank you.
all righty.
Thank you, John. All right.
Okay, sorry for the delay, folks, we're a little bit running behind, but,
You think?
yeah. So, we're now gonna go to the first hearing on our agenda. 157 North Main Street, DEP SC 126-568. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:15 PM on Wednesday, September 19th, 2018, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall, to hear the notice of intent filed by David Mulcahy of 1929 Development, Inc., the applicant, for the addition of a craftsman tradesman building onto the existing single-family dwelling. A portion of the proposed building, infiltration basin, and installation of a retaining wall, tree removal, and grading are located within the 100-foot buffer to a bordering vegetated wetland. No work is proposed within the 65-foot buffer protected under the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The project is located at 157 North Main Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 24, parcels 4A. All interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Do you have a preference if I go here or there, or?
No, right there is fine.
Everybody's been everywhere, so.
Nope, it doesn't matter.
All right.
We're not gonna pay attention anyway.
Kevin Grady from Grady Consulting, representing the applicant, David Mulcahy, here tonight, for the notice of intent filed for 157 North Main Street. The project, as you read into the opening, is, work within the buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. Basically, he wants to build a warehouse, for his craftsman's tradesman use on the property. The bordering vegetated wetland, we submitted an ORAD last October that the commission confirmed the line under SC 126-552, and we utilized that line for the design. Also, as you read into the opening, we are maintaining the 65-foot no disturb buffer, which we agreed to as part of the ORAD, as well as your local regulations. So we're not proposing any work within 65 feet. The majority of the project is located beyond the 100-foot buffer zone. In the buffer zone, we're proposing to, basically, we're gonna impact approximately 8,000 square feet between the 65-foot and the 100-foot buffer zone. In that area, we're proposing a small portion of the building, tree clearing, planting of grass and grading, and the detention, or the detention basin for the stormwater management system. We are proposing erosion control, silt sock erosion control around the perimeter of the project between the work and the border and vegetated wetland, or the 65-foot no disturb zone. All the pavement, all the utilities, 90% of the grading is outside the buffer zone. We designed a stormwater management system that basically runs water off of the proposed pavement through a sediment forebay into a detention infiltration basin. The soils aren't very well drained. We're not gonna get much infiltration out of there, so basically, it's holding the volume and letting it go out slowly. We've provided stormwater management calculations and paperwork showing how we comply with the stormwater management requirements. So, again, the water runs off of the pavement through a sediment forebay swale into the infiltration basin, and then it goes out a outlet control structure, which controls the rate of flow exiting the stormwater system. The calculations show that we're not increasing the rate of runoff for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storms. So we are compliant with the state stormwater regulations, and we are not gonna increase runoff toward any of the abutters. If you look at the outlet of the drainage basin, we've actually directed it back onto our property toward the south. So it will run overland through the woodland for 75 feet prior to reaching the bordering vegetated wetland. So it's gonna be cleaned by the sediment forebay, the infiltration basin, and it's also gonna run through the buffer zone prior to reaching the bordering vegetated wetland for all runoff. Relative to impacts to the bordering vegetated wetland, it's a pretty straightforward project. So I guess I'll be happy to take any questions.
You have to go to planning board for this?
Planning board, probably zoning board.
Oh, okay.
Are these contracted bays? What is this?
So the owner has a deer and tick and mosquito control business, so he's gonna park his equipment. So he's not, I don't think the plan is to lease out the bays. He's gonna store his trucks, equipment, et cetera, in the warehouse.
What's he doing about chemical storage?
He might be able to answer that, but we're gonna keep all that outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
I'm not concerned about it outside the 100-foot buffer zone. I'm concerned about when it leaks and then runs into the 100-foot buffer zone, then runs into the 65-foot buffer zone.
So it's all gonna be contained inside the building.
In a diked arrangement or something like that?
Do you have any specific architectural layout for storage at this point?
I don't at this point. I can say that it is a B25 product, so it's essential oil extract. Actually, no chemical.
The only reason I asked that question is I was in the oil business for a long time. We tried to build a building to put our trucks in. And the local fire department came down and they said they wanted the building to contain double the capacity. Which when we mathematically did that, the garage floor was, at a 20-degree tilt in order to get to where we
Point
needed to
blank,
get.
is this gonna be storage for trucks?
It's gonna be storage for, like, pickup trucks, I'm assuming,
It's a
small
Well, I'm
trucks.
thinking more than pickup trucks at the 50-foot depth.
Investment thing.
Sorry?
It's 50 feet deep, so it's more than just a pickup truck gonna go
He
in.
has a mosquito business.
3,500, so that's a pickup truck.
35s?
That was a tradesman.
Well, they're gonna do the maintenance there.
He's got a mosquito business. My question is not
Right.
what he's got for equipment, my question is what he had for chemicals.
So,
Right.
we've also included a floor drain holding tank. Any commercial
Like an
garages,
NBC trap type of thing?
yes, any commercial garages have to have a floor drain system.
With a separator?
Yep, so this holding tank, it's
Where is it?
it's on sheet 4. If you look, it's
Oh, that, okay.
it's a dual,
It's outside.
it's a 2-tank system. So the,
So that's for spills.
yep,
You have nothing inside, it's just the drains, the tanks, the holding tanks outside
Yes.
You have for a drain inside that goes to that tank.
So there'll be floor drains in there. That would be on the architectural end.
When you get those done.
When we get those, yeah, when we get those completed, I'm not sure what configuration they're gonna want, whether they wanna have the, low point in the middle of the bays, or if they're gonna have them out on the edge. But if you look, it's a dual line tank, so the interior tank is monolithic. If we do have a leak, it goes out to the second tank where the sensors and an alarm goes off. So the idea is any oil drippings, gas drippings, and washing of vehicles or any kind of spills goes to the floor drain and into this tank, and then it's pumped and disposed of. And, you know,
Oh, so, yeah.
Well,
They're gonna do this.
Containment and that type of stuff will be planning board purview and possibly
No,
fire
I
department.
understand that, but
My
I'm-
only question is, from a chemical standpoint, if it gets outside of what you've designed and it winds up leaching into a sloped area, that's where I get my concerns.
sure.
So,
I'm looking at
90% of the chemicals you guys are using today are pretty organic anyway.
All we're using, I don't use a chemical-based, pesticide, licensed product.
Yeah.
It's just too.
We also only keep a minimal amount of concentrate on hand at a time, only what we're using.
And I didn't see the site. There's a house out front. Is that what this
Cor-
little structure is?
Correct.
You did
There's
vote
an,
with the ORAD, did you?
I did not.
You, I think you were on the board.
I
Well,
wasn't
we,
invited.
We were out there today.
we were out there today, and we looked at the property, and we'd been out there before when the ORAD was done. And although we did agree with the findings of the wetland delineation at the time, there was a lot of conversation about it, because from one step to the next, you're in wet to dry to wet to dry. And that was a concern of ours then, and it continues to be a concern of ours somewhat now. The one question that I had about this was the positioning of the retention pond, and I understand that it's down the slope, so it has to be in that area. I was just wondering, looking at the plan, about the fact that you've got a relatively large parking area. And it looks like you've got 12 spaces?
yes.
Okay.
The 12 spaces.
And honestly, he doesn't need the 12 spaces. It's planning board requirement, and then we need maneuvering to get into the building.
Move this out. You'd go up front with that.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if that retention pond, if those northern two spots could be somehow moved to the southern end, giving you a little bit more room there and making that retention pond more triangular and a little bit further away from the 65.
You're right on the 65-foot line. That's what our concern is. As you know, that when you start construction on something like that, you're gonna end up going within the 65-foot. So.
Is there a
what
door
we're
down
looking
that
at-
end of the building?
No.
What we're looking at, what we were talking about doing, was narrowing that basin down and coming into the parking lot a little bit, and then you can bring your spaces a little more forward, toward the main highway.
Yeah, I couldn't put it
That basin's just too close to the 65 foot. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
bring that in.
That's what
Bring
I'm
this
thinking, that
back.
just shift.
Um,
There's no,
That, and I also wanna you to locate that,
then they could.
that well that's located in the front. We spotted it when we were out there.
It may be for the fire department?
The well, no, it's gonna be abandoned. There's town water here. It may even be abandoned already. Probably just hasn't been
abandoned?
pulled.
Oh, that red one?
So what are your plans to do with that then? Are you gonna,
What's the thing that's out by the road with the big red,
That's the.
that's the old well?
yeah,
It's
well
not
casing.
something where the fire department, because they have spots around the town where they can go and get water.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right, so that's going away. So that well's going away.
Those guys.
so show the, if you could show the elimination of that well on there, I'd appreciate it. But,
Well, it's not on there.
but that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
just show the elimination.
Okay.
I was under the impression that it was already
I don't
removed.
see it anywhere.
Well, I knew it was there and we showed it on previous iterations. My understanding is that it was abandoned and
Okay.
removed.
The,
It just, it looked
Oh,
like
it's-
fresh
It's
paint.
shown, actually shown on sheet two.
fresh paint that was on there, that's for sure.
It's shown on sheet two with a note to remove.
Okay.
Fairly close.
Oh, and two?
Sheet two. Says it's decommissioned and to be removed.
All right,
'Cause
it's
it's-
on there, it's on there.
Yep. So I think it's actually in the,
It's
on there.
He's right, there it is, right there. This is, yeah, sheet three, this is three now. It's not on three. It's on two.
Yeah, On sheet 3, just north of where you have the indication of the construction road, there's sort of a rectangle with rounded corners, and it has a,
Says 88.3 elevation.
This must be
with a
yellow.
plus
Oh,
in
yep,
front of it.
that's just the high point in the pavement.
okay.
That's a contour.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the new contour.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
proposed contour 88 with a high point. So that's the
Okay, so
break,
water
that's the
goes-
break
yeah,
in,
okay.
that's a break in the drainage.
yeah.
Out to the road in this way.
All right, and how does, this is all a slab, how much further down is the slab from the first floor of the dwelling?
You know, I'm looking at, 86 and top of floor is 87. About this, the
Well,
new building's about a foot and a half?
is this a split level? I see 9168.
Okay, yeah, because it seemed like it
So-
goes down pretty.
Yep,
It says top of, top of floor.
top of foundation.
Huh?
Top of foundation.
Top of foundation, which is top of floor.
Well, the floor, the finished floor is probably a foot above that, because you have a 10-inch joist floor.
Well, that's a basement that's there then?
So there's a drop in the foundation. We have multiple elevations on the foundation.
Yeah. That's the only thing, I think.
So you're going to be bringing in,
80. Yeah, that's 6 feet.
a lot of fill.
Yeah, of course, it's 6, well, you saw that today.
Well,
That's 80 there, so.
Correct. The elevation of the septic system is kind of driving the entire site.
all right.
So that's the septic's underneath that gravel, the
Yes.
gravel area.
Yeah,
Yep.
septic system's underneath the parking lot over there. I remember watching them put it
So you
in.
really couldn't put the infiltration basin there, 'cause the septic's there.
Do you feel that there's a feasible way to move a couple of those parking spots and make that, that retention pond a little bit less intrusive onto the 100-foot? By relocating 2 of those parking spots?
You gotta widen that out.
You mean bringing the retention pond
So moving it
closer up in here?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of like in a triangle,
Yeah,
right in this corner. Move these 2 and get it away from here.
I got you.
This area,
Yeah.
because it's
And
draining
maybe-
back that way anyway.
Right away from where it's
And away
close.
from
that's
here.
why I asked, is there a door on that end of the building? Because if you
Oh.
cut down your parking lot
Right.
size or those parking spots and there's a door there, it's gonna, you still wouldn't be able to do it.
Correct. I thought you were talking about the 50-foot end, if there was a door there. There are doors all along the
So
145
there is a
foot.
door on that long side at
Yeah.
that end.
Correct. There's
So if there's
bays.
an entry door
Well, they
here,
could
it's
still- they
gotta
could
have
still-
room to get a truck in and out of there.
But they can take a pickup truck in out of there, no problem.
Yeah, but the net gain is gonna be small.
Well, no, not if they come down the side. You gotta do
Right,
something.
I know what you mean, but this is pretty narrow here.
Yeah.
The total, and if you triangulate this out like that,
Yeah.
you've got
Just-
about the same amount of area.
We should let the engineers worry about how they're gonna do it.
Right.
That's not our responsibility to show them how to do it, it's up to them.
Right, I'd like to see if that's a possibility to
We,
get,
we can consider, we could take a look at that. you know,
Kind of put it at an angle, I guess.
we are the impacts to the wetlands are, as I indicated, from stormwater, that we meet the stormwater regulations. We also met your 65-foot no disturb zone, which you know, we used as our design.
I understand what you're saying, but let's face it, your work is right to the bitter edge of the 65 foot, okay? Now, you gotta give it a little bit of slack in here, because I know, I've been in construction my whole life. I know what's gonna happen there, okay, and you do too.
And here too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, all the way over there. No, they gotta move it up.
Yeah, if possible, I'd like to.
So
try.
what, is there a magic number?
You pick it, and it's not up for us to tell you how to do it.
I
It's up to
I
us
understand
to tell you
that.
we don't
I'm
want
sorry,
what we want,
Jim,
what you're
I'm sorry,
doing.
Tim, I'm sorry, that, we have a 65-foot number because it's a 65-foot number, not because it's a 65-foot number and then give us another 15 feet in
No, I'm
case our
not,
tires
I
run into the
am
ditch.
not saying that.
That's not right.
I am not saying that. What I am
Right.
saying is that the
It's 65
construction's gonna
feet.
go past the 65
We
foot.
make it so it doesn't,
It will.
but we can make it so it doesn't.
Well, you explain to me how, I've been in construction my
I
whole life.
have too, and I just think it's
Well,
unrealistic.
I'll tell you what, you vote the way you wanna vote, I'm gonna vote the way I wanna vote, okay?
So
I just
what,
think it's
I did-
unrealistic.
yeah.
If we're gonna pick a
I
number
think
and
it's
make it
unrealistic the way it's
65,
being done.
Well, I did,
So,
I did put as a condition, you know, in order, I did put that, you know, prior to any work, the 65-foot be, you know, staked or fenced or something so that the contractor knows, you know, that he can't go any farther than
I
that.
go
A
along with that.
Construction fence or, and
correct.
they'll put up the posts, you
We've
know,
al-
when you're done.
We are proposing the 12-inch silt sock at the limit of work, and it does not cross the 65-foot. So that would be the first thing that happens at the site. If the contractor were to go over that, it would be obvious, because it's a clear barrier.
Yeah,
I will take a look, and I will talk to my client about adjusting parking spots and maybe grabbing some more volume in another
I
location.
think if you pull that little corner out of a couple parking spots and can shift a little bit and bring the whole thing this way a few feet, I think that'll make people happy. I think that if you just do your due diligence and keep it 65 means exactly what it says. It's not 65 and a half, because that's where we start getting into all kinds of problems and headaches and heartburns, and then God help the next guy.
Right, yep, understood.
You know.
Then,
and I think my concern is really based on the fact that ground back there where the back of your building is going to be is spongy
Yep.
at best. I mean, it's not a,
it's not well-drained
It is-
soils, for sure.
right.
right, so there's gonna be some kind of leaching regardless of what happens. So my feeling is just the farther away you can get it from those, from the flagged wetlands, the better. And if that's something that can be done with moving those, a couple of spots to the south end of the lot and reconfiguring that water retention area. I think it'd just be a little bit more, a little better for the river behind there and all the wetlands. So, you know, it's just, it was something that we looked at today when we saw the plans, and we wondered if it was something that could be done.
We'll take a look at it.
I would prefer that.
I design, you know, when we design these, we're not trying to go over the, you know, required setbacks. We,
Right.
you know, that's not our intent.
I
We
know
have a
that.
set of rules, and we design it based on what we think the rules are,
Right,
and
right.
we go from there.
Right, but you know, if this was, if the wetland delineation was a bank that went down to water, it would be one thing.
Yep.
This is half swamp, half dry.
Well, that would be worse, because we would have a slope where we're very flat and can manage our
Yes.
our work in this case, right?
I understand that, but I mean, it's just that there's so much water underneath there to begin with.
Yep.
And we didn't go back there today, all the way back to the back of where your building is going to be.
Yep.
But I would imagine
Pretty
after
wooded.
yesterday's rain, it was pretty wet.
Yeah, we
Well-
went back far enough so our feet got wet.
And in this, you know, just so you know, the bottom of the drainage basin is actually above grade here. So we have groundwater separation,
Okay,
which, you know, we need in this.
Yeah,
This is
Like-
the part I'm having to deal with.
well,
You have to add, you have to build it up to build it down. and it's gonna be like a hump. And right on the line, I don't know how you're gonna build it up, and build it down without infringing within the 65 foot. Because you're not digging a hole, you're actually building a mound and then working yourself down. So you have to push it from both ways, so I don't know how you're gonna do it.
We do it with the 12-inch silt sock barrier
I
and,
understand what you're saying,
and
but you still
small
have to work it
equipment.
out. It's gotta be permanent, too.
All right.
It can be done.
And, so when you go to planning board too, they'll probably have, Fuss and O'Neill will review the stormwater
Yes.
stuff, yeah. So there'll be another review of the stormwater
Okay.
basin too, when they go to planning.
All right. Well, I mean, this was just something that, you know, when we looked at it today, that's something that's
Yep.
stuck out to me, knowing how wet that ground
Yep.
is
Yep.
all the way around. Anything that we can do to move that retention area farther away from the wetlands, I think would be best for everything.
All right,
But,
so
I
we-
mean, if it can't be done, it can't be done. But it's something I would think that we'd prefer to look at. So,
Yep, we'll take a look at it.
so that would mean a
So we'll request a
continuation?
continuance to the next available.
October
meeting.
3rd?
You wanna see
Okay.
if the abutters wanna say anything?
I will.
before we vote?
Oh, yeah, I
will.
think the Nashes are.
Right. All right, so,
And so
Okay.
the abutters, yeah.
yeah, there are butters here? Yes. Would you,
Come on up.
come on up?
Please sign in, sir, okay?
Yeah,
He's the Nashes.
I just don't wanna vote to continue something if, you know, he has something pertinent to add.
Oh, right, no, this is the right time to do it.
Conservation, you know, yet, Jerry Brown straight me, and I'll take the course myself, and I'll tell you, I met Lee Hessel, and back there, you talk about water, I've lived there for 25 years. This time, that backland is underwater, gentlemen, underwater.
Have a seat, got a speaker right in front of you there.
I mean, you can build what you want to build, but that, you couldn't get it worse, you wanted to try. Our property that we built on, and our greenhouses were not underwater, but the backland by where they're talking is underwater a lot of times of the year. I mean, you can see the water, gentlemen. Need to say more, you can see the water. My main concern is that fence along the borderline, you're bordering us, is rotted. And you're gonna put a business beside us with no privacy, you're gonna put 5 trees? How about a line of Christmas trees? It'll be there all year. Give us some protection. And chemicals kill. I know, I lost my fifth away from chemicals. You get trucks, who's changing the oil?
Sir, I don't mean to stop you from speaking.
What?
But what we deal with here and is the wetlands. That's what we do.
Well, it's wet.
Okay,
It's wet.
now, I understand that. But when you start getting into bordering fences and so forth, and I'm not trying to put you off.
Right.
That goes to the planning.
Okay, I'll
We have absolutely no authority. We can listen to everything you
No,
have to
no,
say.
okay.
But we can't vote or do anything on that.
Well, you're talking about wetlands, and the septic system is bordering their property, and that's near the wetland, and we have no problem at this present time.
Right.
And we have, when it rains, we have graded our property so the water goes down to the river. And once you go beyond the field, we got 10 acres back there. We own the land to the right, left, and the right, and behind your entire property. We surround you from all sides. I don't want to be underwater. I don't want to turn around and see my leach bed underwater, too. I mean, we are bordering their land front and back.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question, if he does nothing at all, the water still end up in that whole area surrounding your property?
In the backwoods, not where the house is, but the backwoods where the heavy trees are.
Okay.
At one time, the Army engineers were back there, and they said that land back there was floating. They call it hummocks. It's actually floating. We don't go back there because if you go back there, you may not come back. If you fall through, you're not going to come back up.
My point in asking the question is it gonna be worse because he paves and develops that area, or is it just gonna be?
Well, it's going to be worse if you put some more water back there. I walked there even in the summertime. Many years back, somebody logged that area. And even from the skidders, you can see water all summer on those tracks.
Yeah,
I understand that, but
You imagine that?
he's not putting water there,
He's getting retention bed. I know what you're talking about. He is. But if that thing gets filled up to the max, he talks about a 100-foot storm, 100-year storm. We've seen some beautiful storms back to ourselves, 25 years. But I mean, I try to walk that land and forget it. I mean, I don't care if you got hip boots. It's not going to happen. I'm not making this up. We live there. Leah's lived there 35 years.
The purpose of the stormwater management plan and the stormwater review from even Fuss and O'Neill, the town engineers, is to not increase the runoff.
Exactly, yes.
So, would that satisfy you? My question is, if the plan comes back from the engineers and they say, this is gonna alleviate it going crazy on your property, it will not increase the runoff to your property, would that satisfy you?
Will satisfy me as long as that's true and as long as they don't haul sand and gravel and bring their grade higher than my property. Right now, we're level.
I understand.
I don't want to turn around and find you 4 or 5 feet higher and expect to be, it's not going to happen.
It's not gonna be higher than his.
You're,
We're proposing a swale in between our elevated parking lot and what I believe is his property along the stone wall.
Oh, okay.
So,
I have
yeah.
a depression that catch.
Sheet 3 shows clearly a well-defined swale between the two.
Yeah, that's pretty common. And then your other concerns as far as trees and fences and stuff like that, that's all before planning, and that can become part of the
Okay,
required
I'll be there.
permits that
Right.
planning gives them to do this.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
You should be notified for that also, because that's
Yes, sir.
gonna require a
Good.
special
Good.
permit from planning.
Our main concern is we have to live there. I've been in Carver 35 years. We pay astronomical taxes, no offense, which are $9,000 a year, and we don't bother nobody. We got greenhouses, we keep to ourselves. I don't want to be turning around looking at a factory beside me and having problems with
Look at the bright side, maybe he'll spray, you'll have no mosquitoes.
Let me, you know, I used to work,
Criteria.
let me just tell you politely, I worked with Kirby Hospital for many, many years. Chemicals cause cancer. Right now, my own wife Leah is fighting third stage aggressive cancer. Thank God she's still here to this day. It's a battle. You have no idea. We're going day-to-day with hospitals. Chemicals kill. I retired from Stop and Shop. We used to pray, we clean our stores, no more fantastic. We used to straight rag. You spray, you breathe it in. And we found that out the hard way. It's not a joke, it's a fact.
yeah,
Maybe you're healthy now. How about 10 years from now?
once again, that's an issue
Well, that's an
for
issue he just brought up.
Planning
I'm just
board.
explaining.
Board of Health. Those are the Carver boards that address issues like that and make sure
Right.
that your concerns are heard. That what they use to spray and how they store it is not really under our purview. We're strictly refined to
wetlands,
what we can do in and
It's
out of the
wet.
wetlands.
It's very,
We know it's wet. We've been back
I
there.
don't think you could find a worse lot if you tried, no offense. It's that bad back there.
Well, the criteria that's used to delineate wetlands was used when the wetlands were identified about a year ago.
Yep.
And that criteria is what everyone adheres to. And that's where the wetlands lines were drawn. The fact that the soil is spongy or wet when it rains doesn't necessarily make that a wetlands. It makes it wetland, but not a wetlands.
What do you call when you go out there and it's underwater in the summertime?
Well, you call it flooded.
Right, exactly, right. Now, that's
So-
that's what they're gonna be facing.
He's probably way.
It could
way in
be,
the back.
but, you know, the wetlands delineation has been approved by us as a board about a year ago. And that's based on the plants that grow there, the soil samples, and other criteria that the state dictates. And
And was
They-
it-
they met that.
Don't misunderstand us, sir. It wasn't just us looking at it and saying, okay, this is what, they have professionals out there
Yes.
delineating the property to make sure that your interests were protected as well as theirs. That's about all I can say about it.
Right.
I'm a little concerned about this corner down there.
Right. And as I mentioned, we had a lot of discussion about it because it was so wet when we were out there a year ago, but we had to go
Yes.
by the criteria that the state,
I have one advantage. When they built the North Carver Water District, your engineers lived in that property for 3 solid years, and I got the documentation that thick.
I'm sure.
And they said it's wetland, and they're all engineers.
Yep, but which is probably just what the consultant determined.
Right.
That, oh, especially to the right of where the house is, that all becomes wetter as you get closer to the road, but nothing's being done there.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Yes,
I just have one question.
I need you to sign in, please, and also speak into a microphone of your choice.
I just want to know how the retention pond is going to be maintained.
It's a retention basin. It's not supposed to get wet except during storms.
Okay,
It's not supposed to be a pond.
so there's no,
The property owner is responsible for maintaining that
I see.
properly.
Yeah, we've prepared an operation and maintenance plan that is incorporated into the stormwater system that gets passed on to the owner that has a log book associated with it. The basin is supposed to be inspected and cleaned twice a year. Same with the sediment forebay and after major storm events. So there's a log book and
Is there a planting
maintenance plan.
schedule in here?
Plant, yeah, there's a landscape plan, on sheet, 8.
You see that again?
Looks like grass seed to me. Sheet 8.
Actually, hold on.
Sheet 8?
So, sheet 8 is the planting notes, and sheet 5 is the, planting plan. Sheet 8 is the details and notes, but 5 is the plan. So the basin has a northeast conservation mix planted on the base, and that is mowed twice a year, slow growing. And then the rest of the site is more site landscaping. No large trees or anything in the basin for maintenance purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, they do have a, basically that basin's gonna be planted.
I
and-
see.
And they have to maintain it,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that's twice a year.
Okay,
If it isn't, call the Board of Health,
okay,
seriously.
thank
It'll
you.
be part of the permit.
Yep.
It'll be
Right.
part of the permit, they don't wanna be in violation of that.
Okay, thank you.
That's good.
All right. So we're going to continue this till October 3rd.
Yep.
So I need,
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion, you want to? Tim?
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to continue to October 3rd, the hearing for 157 North Main Street, DEP SE 126568.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue this hearing till October 3rd.
Is that
All
at
in
7?
favor?
Is that at 7 o'clock? Is there a
Yes,
time?
7,
Well, the continued
The continue
would
would
be
be
after the new ones, so.
after anything new, and we have,
Okay.
I think we have two, so.
I think we're supposed to mention the time.
Yeah, probably
Okay.
like after 7:30.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say 7:45
Yeah.
for a time.
Yeah.
Oh, 7:30 might be a quiet night.
Well, Brooke says we have 2.
7:30's fine, we'll come and
Okay.
wait the 15 minutes.
Okay,
Popcorn.
Okay.
very good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, approved 300.
0-0, okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Brooke.
All right, next we have a continued hearing for 13A Gate Street, SE 126567. You don't have to read all that because it's been done before.
Good, that's fine. It's getting late.
Send me a nasty gram in my email.
No, I just said, you know, you want to okay.
I'm surprised he didn't show up. He had all kinds of things he was gonna talk about.
Conservation.
You talking to?
Honestly, this is the best way to do it, like that. They're talking to each other.
Good evening, I'm Tom Mellahan with Renewable Energy Development Partners. And we were continued last time basically for some administrative issues that I think we've taken care of in the last few weeks.
What happened to all the interested people?
Yeah. Yep. It's a dual
Brooke,
use,
you
yeah.
wanted to,
And I did find the addendum,
you did?
yeah, and I added it to the order.
You did,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I just wanted to make sure I had it, that was a, You want this, you want the plan down there?
These other full-size?
No, I'm here.
Oh, this was the one with the is this the one with the location? Of the,
Yeah, when we changed it.
Yes, okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had these so I could put them in the order. But I did find the addendum letter and everything, so I added that.
So I have copies of it, do you need copies?
No, I don't, no,
Okay.
no.
And
Okay,
then-
good, so I'll take these.
And then I just printed these out.
Yeah.
Do you need these? Oh, perfect. Oh, actually, that's right, there's, Joanna, yeah.
those are 2 copies.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I know. I think he got notified though.
He's not in a butter.
So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It's the dual use one where they're gonna be doing agricultural.
Mm-hmm.
You went to, the site visit, didn't you? Tim did though. Did Tim go? Was that the one you couldn't make?
Jim went. Jim was there.
Yeah.
Jim was there, did you go, Tim? Yeah,
I didn't, some of
One
us
more
were.
four-wheeling it?
I know.
Mm.
But
Is
we're,
there gonna be battery storage tied into this?
Not here, no.
You said, I think you said the last time
It's in the
wasn't big
middle of
enough.
Oh,
nowhere.
here we go.
It's in the
Yeah,
middle of
we're, this is a dual use, so we got enough, different things going on with it for one, for one project.
Yeah, this is gonna be also
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
8 feet, 15 feet,
Right.
and
Right.
tomato plants in
But
the
this,
middle.
but nobody's, no one even sees it.
Right.
Oh,
and
no.
You're not gonna, you're gonna develop your own topsoils from the site, you're not bringing in any material.
Right, right, yep,
It's gonna be harvested on site,
yep,
screened, produced, and stuff.
yep.
What are you gonna do with this section in the middle?
That's the
That's an
high
easement.
that's an
That's
easement,
a-
that's the power
You're
line.
kidding me.
It's Eversource.
Right through, and they can't plant through that?
No. Cause you'd have to have access.
No, there's a line here, and
Yeah.
this is,
It's an easement.
yeah, Eversource is keeping this open for a potential second line.
That's why.
Yeah.
They can put a horse corral out here, but you can't put a structure. My son has a couple of acres behind his house, the same way,
That's
they
it.
can turn it into a pasture, but that's about it,
Right, right.
Really?
but you get the tax bill on it.
I thought you could use the land.
Well, you can.
And you
just
still
can't
have to go
Yeah,
build
they
plan it?
something
can't
on
Yeah.
build on.
Yeah,
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And they figured in passive solar, they
You know
consider
how you got up
building.
here on South Meadow, with the tension wires,
Yeah,
how you got, one guy's got construction material and some
Northeastern,
mulch and stuff like
southeastern.
that. So
Yeah.
if you had to get in there, you could move all that material, but
Yeah.
you can't build a structure in it.
Right.
So this still has to go to planning too,
Yeah, I don't-
Okay,
Are
But-
you on the agenda?
but
for
I don't
planning?
think they'll,
yeah, we did get on,
24th or something, I think might be the next one,
No, they're gonna have to give us all that.
yeah,
October
I
24th?
think,
Yeah, it's
no,
just,
not that
it's
late, I
grading.
don't think it's that late.
Oh, maybe
There's
it's,
one next Tuesday.
grading.
Not then, no, we didn't get on
This
that.
is a wetland.
Yes,
How do we-
yes.
Probably
I think
first-
there's one the 3rd of October.
Yeah, this is
That's ours.
65, that's the 100, so everything's
this would be the
outside the
second,
100.
maybe, because they're Tuesday
Kind
night,
of outside the 100.
No,
Might
it's-
be the 2nd of October.
maybe the second and then the
He's
20th.
doing work in here.
Oh, but that's
Or
just
maybe the week after.
grading.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't, it's not close to the 65.
Okay.
The ninth,
65.
Night, is it the night?
I understand that, but he's still doing
Ninth.
work.
Probably
in
is,
Yes.
yeah.
65.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure
I mean,
which
between,
Tuesday,
inside the
they all
100.
run together.
right.
Right.
So
And over here,
Is he doing work inside the 100?
just the road.
just this.
The green ones is the 100. So he's inside the 100 all through there.
Right, but they were gonna do a little bit of work on this road.
Right, there's a
That's
little
a
bit.
65 line right there, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing work within the 65 over here.
Just on the driveway, it's there already, they
Right.
just have to,
Well, this is new right there. This is all new right here.
yeah.
I mean,
The
I'm just saying,
swale.
I'm just, yeah, the swale work is within the 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we have to give them a variance for that.
You're not really constructing anything within the 65, you're just doing some.
Some grading.
Regardless, he's
Land
doing,
maintenance,
he's
grading,
changing,
and so forth.
he's changing the contour of the earth right through here, so.
Understood.
I mean, it's no great shakes,
But you still need to
but
do
he
the
still
variance.
has to, he still has to file.
What's happening over this side?
Same thing. Same thing all
A
through.
little
there.
bit.
Yeah, on through there. He's
Yeah.
within the 60, he's within 100 outside the 65. So he still has to file the NOI, but also
File the
apply for
NOI,
a
file-
variance on this
this-
side.
File the NOI, this is the NOI.
Oh,
I mean, this is
he has to
order.
file,
He just has to ask for a variance for that.
That's right, he has
You have to
for,
issue a
he has to
variance.
ask for a variance on that.
Yeah.
Which we can grant.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, this looked good. I know one of the questions when I was out there, and it doesn't really relate to what we're doing, is that they were trying to figure out a farm plan and a rotation of crops. Are they working on that still, or do you know?
Well, we're working with the MDR we've submitted a plan to MDR. And in conjunction with the Department of Energy Resources that approves the dual use.
Right.
And so we have submitted a farm plan that's got a bunch of different crops that we could grow in there.
Okay.
And then so we're like getting approval for like, almost a laundry list of things that we could do. And then what we're gonna end up doing is gonna be based on, market conditions,
Right, okay.
Okay, so we'll work on it.
Yeah, because with the rotation, make sure the soil stays vibrant.
Yeah,
One of the things that we had spoken about with the North Carver landfill was pollinators, putting them in maybe for one season, which would, and rotate that area so the bees have things to do. Just a thought.
Instead of changing the road a little bit down here too.
I think it's just
I don't
really,
have a problem with it. I don't
really
sound
just
similar,
filling it
I don't
in
have-
to
Yeah,
make it so
this is, they're
This
raising
not
this.
using- this
they're
is
bringing
not- it's
this
not a
up.
bog, it's just-
Yeah, right, well, it's,
gonna
the
take-
problem is it's near the wetland, so we
Right.
gotta, it's, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We can't bark at one person and say it's okay for
No, I
somebody else.
agree.
Right. So
right, but there's no retention pond here.
there's no retention
this is-
pond,
this
and
is
it's
building
being
up.
built up as a berm.
Yes. and
But it's still, within the 65, that's all I have
Correct.
to say. So all we have to do is,
Issue a
you know,
variance.
issue a variance
Mhm.
on that, and then go for the NOI.
Right. Okay. There's no one here.
Mr. Chairman.
Hmm?
It's a pleasure.
Well, I guess we have to,
Close the hearing.
do we close the hearing first, or
Gotta
should
close the hearing.
We
and
close
then
the
think we
hearing,
close
then
it
we
go
go-
to the variance? All right.
Make a
That's it.
motion, we close the hearing
So
for
we close the hearing, and then we
1388
issue the variance, and then we issue the order. Very
SD
confusing.
126567.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing on 126567. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, 300. All right,
Okay,
I
let's
will
open up the hearing.
entertain a,
Open up the hearing for the variance.
I don't think so, I think that you just
I-
make a motion.
yeah, I entertain
to
a-
approve the variance.
I
Oh, you
entertain.
don't have to open up the hearing?
I don't think
No,
so.
No.
we just.
We just
There's
close
no
it.
butters
Okay,
here anyway.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to
Just a motion
grant a variance for work to be done within the 65-foot buffer zone as per the plans.
For plan SE 126-567.
Right.
I'll second that.
Now, we need a motion.
Oh, I'll motion.
All right, second.
I'll second.
All right,
that?
it's been
So
moved and
confused.
seconded to allow
how
a
you do it.
variance for DEP SE 126567 per the plans submitted. All in favor? Aye. Okay,
And that's
any opposed? None.
On the plans,
Right,
as drawn.
Yep,
Yep. Approved 300.
yep.
Now we're gonna reopen.
Why?
Who are we opening for?
Oh, no, we have to reopen it
You
Now we-
didn't approve the NOI.
Now we do that.
Yeah, you
Right.
have to
We,
reopen.
by approving the plans, you're actually approving the NOI, because the NOI
We just
includes the
issued a
plans.
variance that
So we
includes
just-
the NOI.
Right.
So you're basically issuing an order of conditions for the NOI with a variance.
Right. Huh?
We just,
Right.
Now, I thought that when we approve the variance, then we have to reopen the meeting to vote on whether we accept the drawings.
we couldn't approve a variance if we hadn't accepted the drawings.
Well,
Then you're
as,
putting the cart in front of the horse.
yeah, you can.
By approving the NOI, you're approving, you're approving the plans, you're approving everything that's
Okay.
on the
Right.
plans.
All right,
So
So I
you're basically
misunderstood that.
issuing order of conditions, for the.
Probably should have been approved the NOI with the following variance.
and we
Right.
didn't do
Right.
that.
Well, we can do that now because we just approved the variance without
Right.
reopening the hearing, so
Well, I voted in the affirmative. I make a motion to reconsider that last vote.
And include the NOI.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to reconsider the last vote, to do it the right way. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? No.
Okay.
All right, so,
Now, I would make a motion that we approve the NOI with the following variance for 13A Gate Street, DEP SE 126567. The variance being as drawn in the plan.
do I have a second?
I have a second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI with a variance as per the drawings for DEP SE 126567. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. 300, and we're approved.
I'd say
You're
so.
done.
Thank
All
you very much.
After all that,
That was
very
harder
confusing.
on us than it was on you.
it was very confusing, but we all know what's happened. We all know what's going on.
Just
It's not that we haven't done this on
Just because I'm nosy, 8 to 15 feet, do you guys anticipate any problems with wind and stuff?
Well, they have to, they have to design it, to the wind load. So the wind load gets higher, the higher it is. So the structural guys will take that all into account, We have had some problems, this last winter, some of these heavy windstorms with the panels coming off.
Really?
Well, I'm thinking it's kind of open down there, so you can kind of get howling,
Well, it's the top of the hill and it's open.
I mean, the reason the panels came off though is it was the kids didn't fasten them enough.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So it's the first year they went in and they're supposed to go in and do so much QA, QC, and they just didn't do a good enough job.
Always the installer's fault.
But, yeah, but they do, the wind loading would be higher for sure.
How big's the project?
It's about 2.5 megawatts.
That's good, huh?
Another reason why I'm asking is now it's public knowledge is there's a bylaw committee that we're looking into setting up some bylaws as to how to deal more with the potential due use, setbacks, screenings, and so forth and so on. And I think Jim is on that Jim's been asked to be on that committee.
Yep.
I'm on it representing finance. Sarah Ewens is on it. And I'm not really sure who everybody, I think Jim
She may
Hoffman.
not be on it for long.
So, because it's an up-and-coming thing. And we're trying to get to a place where we're not caught with geez, we really don't know. We'd like
Right.
to have a little bit better handle. So it makes it easy on everybody else that's trying to do it also, so that people don't come in and get a completely different set of rules every time. I'd like to have something a little bit more structured. And still take into consideration the abutters, because that's the big deal. Everybody wants the cranberry growers to be able to do what they need to do to survive and make a living and have it
Right.
be profitable,
But you have
but
to
I don't
consider
wanna
the
see that,
abutters.
I would never wanna see that at the expense of an abutter,
Right.
They live there too.
I'm real big on fair.
Right. Well, that's why we like this project, because it's
Way out in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
it's pretty far back there,
Yep.
so.
Yep.
And the one that, the gentleman I thought was gonna come didn't come, so I'm good.
Yeah,
Good luck.
great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
Do you wanna go back to the first page?
Yes, we do. We have,
The COC.
well, let's continue in the order here. We have the update of the site visit
Oh,
at Paddock
It was
Bog.
just basically, when we went out and saw the vines, they looked pretty darn good, I thought.
Right.
You know, I didn't think
Last time we
when, I think it was Mike Paddock, is that correct?
Yeah.
When he said that you come back in July and this will all be green and.
We didn't believe it.
Tim and I looked at each other and just kinda smirked because it
I was
didn't
there.
look good.
No, it didn't.
But I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you, I went on that.
Yeah.
And it
But he did more
didn't look bad. He
irrigating.
did more irrigation,
Right.
he did, it really didn't look bad. The paths that were down between the, solar arrays where the four-wheelers had torn
Yeah.
it up, you'd never know
Well,
it.
they did that too when they were doing electric
He didn't
lines.
We had
touch
to
it.
do something to get it going.
He didn't do
It
something,
was
he didn't do
bare
anything.
since-
He
it
didn't
was
rake them
bare
out, they
since
just
it
went away.
started.
But he got rid of some of the moths. There was some moths that were
Yeah.
eating some of the stuff,
Yeah.
so he did do some, something about the moths.
Right, well, the irrigation, I mean, last year he was away and didn't
Right.
irrigate, and that's why they all died.
Irrigation helps, yeah.
Yeah, it does. And we also had a lot of rain
Yeah,
in August.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with the way it looked. I mean, it was impressive. It looked pretty seedy when we looked at it, and it came out looking much better the second time around, so.
All right, good. COC request, 34 Bow Street.
yeah, this is the one we looked at today. It's actually, 34 Bow Street ended up falling under an old order of conditions for work that was done at 32 Bow Street, because it was all the same owner. And 34 was just being, bought and sold, so it ended up showing up under the old 32 Bow Street, and we looked at it today, and really everything on 34
Nothing
is
was ever
outside
done
100,
with
but
it.
fell into the, because it used to be in one, piece of property and the same owner, and now it just has to be taken off, so, that's all that is.
Yeah, there was no issue at all.
Yeah, no,
It was a nice home.
Yep.
Plenty of distance away and,
Yep.
and a nice,
You saw it today?
because if you
Yeah,
remember,
we all went today.
do you remember Mark Walker came in for 32 Bow for the
I
house
think I do.
on the other
Remember
side
the
of the
White
bog?
House, it was on the other side of the, bogs, and remember he was talking, said, well, we have that house over there that we just sold, which was way over on the other.
Way over the
end.
side, yeah, and then this is a different one up a little bit
Yeah.
farther, even
That's
farther
the
away,
one.
yeah.
Why don't you make that motion, because you did the site visit?
Let's see, I, make a motion to accept, the, COC request for
34.
34 Bow Street, DEP number SE 126-358.
I'll second that motion.
all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC request for 34 Bow Street, 126358.
Excuse me, point of order.
Yeah.
This says the project is loaded at 32. This one says 34.
That, because it's actually, the order of conditions was issued for number 32, where the work was done, but 34 got lumped under it.
That's why
So
it's-
that one has to be closed out in order for 34 to get closed out of it. It's confusing, you know what I mean? But it's
So the
actually,
motion for 34 is in order, is
it's actually,
proper.
probably, well, actually, I would say actually, it's probably, you probably should say 32, because the certificate of compliance is actually closing out 32, but it's all at the same time closing out 34.
Then should we have looked at 32?
No, 32 is
already
Mark
did look
Walker's.
at
This is an old order of conditions for work that was done on the bog, and somehow 34 fell within that.
Okay,
Yeah,
How about if we did a motion that would
say 32, 34.
grant it for 34 Bow Street with reference to 32 Bow Street from a prior order of conditions and not
Right,
segregate?
right,
Let me start over.
say that, okay. It is confusing,
Just
I
so
know.
we get that right.
Yeah,
We're looking for an order, approval for order of conditions, COC, request for 34 Bow Street, DEP number SE 126-358,
right, which actually falls
Covered
under,
under.
right,
32
Bow
Bow
Street.
Street.
yeah,
I will second that, with the same DEP number, I might add.
Yes.
right.
all right, we have a motion to approve the COC request for 34 Bow Street under the auspices of 32 Bow Street, DEP SE 126-358. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Amen.
opposed? No. Approved, 300.
Okay,
Saved you the top line, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
okay, and then the minutes.
All right.
All right, and last order of business, I believe, is are the minutes for our last meeting.
But she didn't know.
You're probably not gonna get any minutes for this meeting.
You need minutes.
They're not gonna be very good.
I can, we can
I
have
read them
Mary
all
Ann
the
watch the
accused.
video.
Yes, good idea, okay,
Ask
thanks.
Mary Ann to watch the video,
okay.
because this was complicated enough.
Let me
I'd
look
like
at
to
this.
have accurate minutes on this.
Yeah. I know it was.
Kate was so wonderful, she took minutes for the first couple of finance committee meetings, and then.
Who?
Kate Banzer, and then, when I had asked Mary Ann to take our minutes officially, Kate said.
I'll be looking at the next, minutes to see how close those are. These are pretty.
Having a hard time with it.
hard.
Wicked hard.
It's hard,
I could never do it, I sort of tried, but I mean,
it's very
oh
difficult.
my God, yeah. I mean, how do you write that down and then listen at the same time?
Well, that's the trouble, it's very difficult to be on the board and take the minutes, because you're trying to write down what was just said while you're thinking
Oh, no,
about
you need
what
somebody-
you
you
want
need
to
a
say.
separate-
Jen used to take them sometimes when she was on the board, but I don't know how
I
she
can't wait
did.
to see the next set of minutes, those should be fun.
You mean the ones I wrote?
Yeah.
We're gonna have Mary Ann look at the tape instead.
Have her, yeah, have her sit down and watch the tape, write it down that way.
That's what she gets for not showing up.
Watch the tape.
All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for August 15th.
So motioned.
Second?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written for August 15th, 2018. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Approved, 300.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we're out.